What's up, world of Facebook, or whoever else might be watching this if I decide to download it and post it somewhere else? Oh man, look at this one. I don't need to hear. Screw it. Good morning, Joe Bernstein here. So I posted a question yesterday, and I got a really beautiful question and response, and some great responses as well. My Facebook friends are full of wisdom. And so I wanted to address one of these specific questions that somebody asked directly on a video instead of just trying to type something out, because it's kind of a long answer that needs the clarification, right? So I asked yesterday, receiving help is hard for some of us. If you used to struggle but have gotten better at this, please share what helped you, right? So I want people to share the wisdom of what's helped them get over a resistance to receiving help. And there were some really cool answers. People brought some great answers in. I especially loved the one about realizing that giving someone an opportunity to help is actually a gift to them. So why deprive someone that gift? But anyway, somebody ended up asking this question. How would you recommend offering help to someone who's always overwhelmed, but is self-sufficient? And then he says someone in his life, a romantic partner of his, is amazing and inspiring, but often takes on too much and gets overwhelmed. I offer help, but I think she's too prideful or stubborn to accept it most of the times. Have you experienced this, and how can you recommend someone offers help when you're dealing with someone like this who takes on too much and who resists help? So first of all, yeah, I think we've all dealt with that. I think we all have loved ones and people in our lives. I mean, they might even be, in my case, clients that are paying me to help them, but they don't necessarily want to receive the help. They don't necessarily want to receive the wisdom. They don't necessarily want to create change. And so there's several things that I want to talk about here. First and foremost, I want you to choose radical honesty, curiosity, and radical consent as co-creation. I'll break all those down here in a moment. But essentially, when our loved ones are too stubborn or too prideful to receive help, it brings a lot of pain for us. So I want to tell a story to actually help you understand this. So I've got a great friend, Richard Weiner. He's awesome. I think he just turned 90 or 91. He is a wonderful elder in our Mankind Project community, and he always has these great stories. And there's this one story about an aunt of his where he used to go over and he used to visit his aunt. And it didn't matter. And this is like an old Jewish mother thing. So anyone who's raised Jewish in America, they're going to understand this, right? So it didn't matter if he had just eaten, didn't matter if he was hungry, didn't matter what time of day it was. Whenever he went to visit her, she'd offer him some gefilte fish. And gefilte fish is an acquired taste. I actually started to love it when I was older, but I never touched it when I was younger. Anyway, and he would eat a piece no matter what because he knew it made her happy. And sometimes she'd put another piece right on his plate. He did another piece. He knew it made her happy. And she'd put a third piece sometimes on his plate. And he would just keep talking and telling a story and connecting with her and sharing his life. And if some time went by, 10, 20 minutes went by, he didn't eat the third piece, she would almost always ask, you don't like it? You don't like my gefilte fish? Or, what's going on? Why don't you like it? Don't you want to eat? I'm feeding you. And of course, in that moment, he would usually be nice and thoughtful and just go ahead and eat it. Didn't matter if he was hungry at all. So what I'm asking you to do is to not act like a Jewish mother or a Jewish aunt who always wants to feed you even when you're not hungry, right? Because a lot of the time we tell the story that our loved ones are too stubborn or too prideful to receive our help. And often what we're actually caught up in is our own feeling of powerlessness. We're often caught up in our own sense of pride, thinking that I can help this person who loves me, but they don't want my help. So we're actually taking it personally that they don't want our help. And we have tension. We are overwhelmed, and we're projecting that often on that other person. Now, it may be true that they're overwhelmed. We're projecting our feeling of powerlessness on them, and they might not feel powerlessness. They might not want to receive help. And in fact, sometimes when we tell ourselves the story that our loved one doesn't like to receive help or is not good at receiving help, they're actually not that bad, but we have this tension and this neediness when we ask them if we can support them. So they naturally don't feel like it's really about them, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to actually get clear on your own emotions. What emotions are you feeling around this person and your capacity to help them, or their lack of help, or their overwhelm, or their struggle, or their stubbornness, or their pridefulness? What are the emotions that you're actually experiencing, right? What are your feelings around it? What's the experience that you have when you see someone struggling that you love and they won't take help, or you think they're overwhelmed? Own those emotions, and next time you actually want to offer help, instead do this. Ask your partner, your loved one, your friend, your employee, whoever it is, hey, I've been experiencing a lot of emotions right now about my relationship to you or my connection to you and what I'm seeing. Are you open to hearing about that? If they're open to it, offer your emotions. You might say something like, it looks to me like you're overwhelmed. It looks to me like you take on a lot. And when I try and help you, I feel shut down. And when I can't help someone I love, I feel powerless about this. And I just want to share that I'm having this experience with you. You don't need to solve it. We don't need to do anything differently, but I want to share that. See if that sharing of yourself, see if that opening up opens a dialogue, opens a window, opens a doorway. Most people that love you, they're going to get it. They're going to realize you're being really vulnerable, you're being really honest, and you're bringing your true experience and your true desires to them. And from there, people are usually more open to a conversation. But instead of acting like the old Jewish mother, I want you to act like a good doctor. Let's say you do actually have help for this person. What I want you to do is come up with a menu of options. If you've diagnosed the problem, forget about your diagnosis. Have a conversation with them. And the way this sounds is like, hey, honey, I noticed that it seems like you're pretty overwhelmed, and I'm looking at ways that I can help you take some stuff off your plate. Are you open to talking to me about that and seeing if we can create some solutions? So first things first is you want to open with what I call radical consent as co-creation. Ask them for consent in solving their own problem. You want to enroll them in being open to the solution. You don't want to be force feeding them the gefilte fish of your help. You don't want to be trying to give them something that they're not hungry for. If people want help and if people want to change, they have to be hungry for that change. You cannot force feed them. Even if you do, they will not digest it well, and it won't be utilized, and it won't gain them the benefit, even if it makes you feel better. What I want you to do is start to diagnose in a different way. Start to get curious. What don't you know about this person? Are they really being stubborn and prideful, or is there something else going on? Is there a deeper experience, a deeper emotion? Do they have a deeper belief that they have to be on their own? Stubborn and prideful is a label that makes it easy for you to say, well, they're screwing up, or they're hard to work with, right? Instead, you might say, they've gained a lot of value from being self-sufficient. Now, I don't want to take that away from them, and they might be thinking I'm taking that away from them by trying to take stuff off their plate. What do I really want to do? So you have to get curious about your own experience, you get curious about their experience, and ask them, hey, honey, it looks to me like you're overwhelmed. Are you overwhelmed? Hey, honey, it looks like you've been adding a lot to your plate, and I'd love to help take some off. Do you feel like you've been adding a lot to your plate, and do you want help with this? And ask them, it feels like you're stressed, and you tell me you're not that stressed. You tell me you're not overwhelmed. What are you really feeling? What am I missing here? You got to get curious, and you have to believe that you don't have all the answers. And what you want to do is, once you do understand if they actually have a problem, and it's not just a problem that you've made up in your own mind, is come up with a menu of options. A good doctor, they're going to ask questions, and they're going to do an examination to actually go ahead and find out, do you really have a problem? What's the problem look like? What's really going on? What do they really need help with? And then they're going to offer a course of treatment. Well, we could do an x-ray and see what's really going on. And what might happen is I might put you in the cast. Or maybe we don't need the x-ray. Either way, we're going to ask you to immobilize it for a couple of weeks. Do you just want to go ahead and take a brace and make sure that you're off of it for a few weeks or whatever? And then finally, they could say, you know what? Based on the symptoms that I have here, something you could do is X, Y, and Z. I could just give you some pain medication. You can go home and rest it. Or we can go a more invasive route. There's a surgery to repair this thing or that thing, right? So a good doctor is going to offer options, a menu, a course of treatment. If you don't like doctors, then consider yourself an amazing high-end server where you're asking questions about your patron and you're offering the best options from the menu. You're offering them opportunities. But the point is, you have to offer people help, not try and force feed them help. So things like, are you open to me helping you out right now? Are you open to more questions? I'd like to have a conversation with you about what appears to be overwhelm. And I know that some of it might be my own emotions or my own beliefs or my own stuff. and I want to check it out. Can you help me with this? Because I'm struggling and I feel powerlessness when I can't help you and it looks like you're overwhelmed. So that's what I got for you today. The number one takeaway is that if you want to help someone, first get clear on your own emotional experience and be willing to share that. Then use consent model to enroll them in their own help. Don't force feed them help. So just for today or the next time that you notice a friend, a family, a loved one who doesn't want to receive help and who's feeling overwhelmed, stop acting like a needy Jewish mother who only feels good when they can feed you and feed you and feed you and give you something that they actually want, even if you're not hungry for it, even if you don't want it. And start acting like a good doctor who asks questions, who gets curious, who tries to come up with solutions and offers a menu of solutions, knowing that the person can just say, you know what? I don't want your help. And then it's your job to work on the emotions that come up around that. That's on you, that's not on them. So I hope this is helpful. If this message resonates with you, if you dig it, if you have more questions, go ahead and comment below, share it with someone you love. And that's what I got for you today. Be the good doctor for today. Peace. I'm out.